I'm a true believer that AI doesn't necessarily replace what you're doing, but it can help amplify it. It can help make it faster. But a human brain still has to distill the information and be able to kind of put that out into reality. So, what I'm really passionate about helping people use AI tools for is being able to understand if they are one, if they have a goal or what goal that they should actually work on now to be able to push their business forward. And two, figuring out how much time you need to commit and how you can focus your days to that goal. Another massive lesson I learned from the rock stars I used to and still support is that they focus 100% of their time and effort on one goal.
The Intelligence Forge podcast is sponsored by Permasize AI Forge. The Intelligence Forge podcast is sponsored by Permasize AI Forge. At Permasize AI Forge, we know you're ambitious, but are manual tasks like admin, lead generation, nurturing, and onboarding holding you back from truly scaling your business? Imagine saving dozens of hours every week, freeing you to deepen client relationships and execute high-impact strategy. Our clients aren't just imagining it. They're saving countless hours per week and doubling their revenue within months. We custom-build AI automation systems that eliminate the grind. From effortless lead generation and nurturing to seamless onboarding, we give you back the most valuable resource, your time, so you can focus on building those vital human connections and driving strategic growth. Stop letting repetitive tasks limit your potential. It's time to build a business that works for you, not the other way around. Ready to unlock your true scaling power? Visit PermasizeAIForge.com and book your free AI audit call today to discover how you can save time and double your revenue. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the Intelligence Forge YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new episode.
From backstage to boardroom, scaling elite executive support in the AI era. Welcome to the Intelligence Forge. My guest today is Tarra. Tarra, you're welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to have this conversation.
Genuinely excited to have you here today. Your journey from managing global tours for rock stars to building Take It Easy Group is very, very fascinating. And I know our audience is going to get tremendous value from your insight today. So let's start from you first introducing yourself formally, especially for some of our audience that probably don't know you. Introduce yourself, Take It Easy Group, in your own word. What should our listener look out for from your company and from what you build?
So I'm Tarra, and I'm the founder of Take It Easy Group, and we are a team of fractional and contract-based executive assistants and chief of staff, where we primarily focus on helping influencers, creative founders, celebrities, and high growth founders who are really wanting to scale a business, but they just don't necessarily have that business background or that operational mind, and they really need that extra strategic support to help them stand up the business and really build something successful.
Thank you so much for sharing that. What's the most exciting things that is happening in Take It Easy Group right now? For me, I love wins. I love, good things that is happening. So in recent times, some of your success story, the milestone that you've been able to attain, do you want to share some of that with us?
Sure. So let me take you back to be able to answer that question. So I started Take It Easy Group with zero business background at all. I actually started my career chasing rock stars around the world. So I worked with some of the biggest names like Mick Jagger, Lady Gaga, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Kiss, Nickelback, a bunch of others. And I had a moment where I just really wanted to help more than one crazy rock star at a time. So I decided to open up a business. Again, no business background at all, just with this desire to help people. I had no idea what I was doing. And I made some horrible mistakes along the way. I hired a friend, which was good to start. She was in charge of sales and business development, and we were doing really well. Between the years of 2020 and 2023, we were 20 times in our business, 5 times in our business. We grew to about 750K MRR. And it was great. And how we were doing that was with zero systems at all. We were just chasing numbers, and we were chasing the wrong numbers. And the reason why we were chasing numbers is because I have had the great fortune of being able to surround myself with some really successful people. And I always saw that they built their success and maintained their success by having a goal and driving towards that goal and focusing on that goal. So in my non-business head, I was like, well, I can set a goal. Let's try this quarter to get 50 clients. And because my friend and I were very, very driven, we would do absolutely everything to get those 50 clients. And we didn't care who they were. They were definitely not the right fit for our business, and a lot of times they couldn't even pay us, or they would pay us a little amount and say that they would pay us, in the future. I had one client who wanted to pay me with homemade soup. It was a disaster. And then we also had hiring problem because we wanted to say we had a massive, large, big, successful team. We wanted to say we had 50 full-time employees, 100 full-time employees. Like, that was our goal. So we were bringing in clients really, really quickly, and we had to bring in staff and employees really quickly to help the clients. And so our hiring process was, can you pass a background check? Yep. Can you start tomorrow? Yep. Great, you're hired. So you can see the problem here. We were bringing in clients just because they were clients and they would make our numbers on paper grow. And we were bringing in staff to help those clients, but they weren't necessarily a match. And my co-founder and I were also fighting a lot. My friend that I brought in, we were fighting a lot because the business was growing so much. I didn't have the business background to be able to articulate exactly what we needed, and it grew too big for her to be able to manage. And because she was a friend, I didn't want to say anything. So there was a lot of internal fighting to the point where things got really bad really quickly, and the business tanked. It went from 750K MRR to 20K MRR in a matter of 4 months. And this was the end of 2023, so about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And at that point, I was actually also staring down the decision of having to declare personal bankruptcy because there was a lot of personal guaranteed loans that I had put on the business to try and sustain it. And so at that point, I was trying to figure out, who am I? What do I want to do? I'm a horrible leader. I'm a horrible business owner. I obviously had hit rock bottom, and I was really trying to, again, just kind of figure out how I'm going to get through day to day, let alone am I going to build a business again or whatever. And because I have some amazing people and successful people in my network, I did reach out to a number of them. And one of them told me something that always stuck with me, and that was kind of what you said of how you love wins. He said, Tara, you have to stack wins. I don't care if you have nothing that seems like a win, you have to stack wins. And I thought that was kind of like, froofy, woo-woo. Like, I'm like, how is this going to help me rebuild a business or figure out what I want in the future? But I did it. And what I realized when I was doing it, it was the smallest wins. I got out of bed this morning. I was able to brush my teeth before noon. I didn't burn my toast. Like, just small things. But I realized that forcing me to write down any win was actually forcing me to get out of bed, which was actually forcing me to create momentum. And from being around all these successful people, I've realized that they don't wait for motivation to strike them like a lightning bolt. They create their own momentum, their own motivation to create their own success. And I knew once I started realizing that stacking wins was actually creating my own motivation to keep going and keep building and figuring out what I wanted to do. So, long story short, long story long, I guess, to answer your question of what are my wins, I have been very, very thoughtful of rebuilding the business, take it easy, on systems, building that foundation, understanding who our ideal client is, understanding who we want to hire and who we want in our ecosystem, and how we're going to rebuild the business again. And be able to sustain the success and not crash and burn again. So for us, every little win is great. We're building clients, we're building the momentum, we're servicing and helping the ideal clients that we really, really want to help. And I'm also really passionate about sharing my story so I can hopefully help another entrepreneur or somebody out there who has kind of crashed and burned, or maybe not crash and burn, and be able to actually build a sustainable business.
Wow, that is really fascinating. And I love your story. Really, I think that's really incredible. But out of curiosity, there's something I want to find out. When you said you reached 750 MRR, that's incredible. That's really incredible. And I know not too many businesses could boast of doing that, really. But I want to find out, how were you getting your client in those days?
It was crazy. So we were doing everything and anything that we could. It was like cold outreach. It was going to a lot of events and talking to people. It was leaning on our network. It was Facebook ads. It was LinkedIn ads. It was literally everything and anything that you could think of that generates leads. We were doing it, and not necessarily, as I said, for our target audience. It was anybody. We're like, oh yeah, you just have an idea of a business? Sure, we'll start and we'll discount your first service by 80%. So you can your first month of service by 80% so you can come in the door. Well, of course they'd come in the door, but then they wouldn't be able to pay the next month of service. And yet we'd hired someone to be able to help them. So then we had to bring in more clients to be able to fill the gap. So yeah, it was crazy what we were doing to be able to build the business. Those things work, I guess, if you focus on it, but you really have to be able to understand your ideal target and your ideal customer and really understand how they think. And now that we know, or I know, I guess I should say, who exactly I want to help, business development is a lot slower. I don't bring in 50 clients at a time. I bring in one, and we make sure that we can help them, we can provide them extreme value, and then we're comfortable at being able to bring in another client.
It's very important that you serve your client. One of the questions I wanted to ask you is, even though you were bringing people, those days, were you able to deliver for them to the level whereby they look back and say, yes, we're getting value, it's just that we can pay? Because, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, so no, we weren't at all. Because we were hiring so quickly, the people were hiring weren't necessarily at a level that we could provide really good value. The other problem is that sometimes we couldn't hire. For our business, because we're fractional, our executive assistants or chief of staff have between 1 and 3 clients at once. But at that point in time, sometimes our executive assistants would have 10 clients, 7 to 10 clients at one time. And they can't keep up with the demand. They could barely open up 7 email accounts in one day. So it was very difficult to be able to provide any level of support, let alone good level of support. And that was one of the reasons why we started to lose clients very, very quickly.
I believe you learned the lesson, and that's why you're telling this story today. Okay.
Learned many lessons, yes.
Let's move on. The magic one question. Everyone gets to answer this question. So, but before I ask you that question, you've done a lot of, specifically, are there any AI tools or probably technology tools that you've been using that have been helping you either in your fulfillment or in your processes that you want to speak about?
Yeah, so I like coming at this question through how people can use AI to help them not get into the same situation that I was in. I wish that there were the AI tools that there are now when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, or if I even could get out of the horrible situation that I was in. So yes, at the end of 2023, there was AI, but it definitely wasn't as sophisticated as it is now. So I didn't even really think about using it. So, and I'm a true believer that AI doesn't necessarily replace what you're doing, but it can help amplify it. It can help make it faster. But a human brain still has to distill the information and be able to kind of put that out into reality. So what I'm really passionate about helping people use AI tools for is being able to understand if they are if they have a goal or what goal that they should actually work on now to be able to push their business forward, and 2, figuring out how much time you need to commit and how you can focus your days to that goal. Another massive lesson I learned from the rock stars I used to and still support is that they focus 100% of their time and effort on one goal. Just like professional athletes, they, going to the Olympics, they want to run the fastest or lift the heaviest or whatever it is. And that's their goal. That's what they want to do. And that's all they're focusing on. And that's what business owners should do as well. And AI can help you distill down what you're actually spending your time on. And also then how can I delegate what I'm actually spending my time on, or delete it, or push it off to some other time so I can actually focus on what truly matters. So you can run formulas where it will help you figure out what goal you should be working on. So what metrics you should be chasing, and not like me, just chasing numbers to chase numbers. It can help you also understand where you're spending your time and how to figure out how to spend your time better to actually achieve that goal. And then it can also help you figure out, are you willing to sacrifice for your goal? I think that's something that a lot of people don't necessarily think about, that if you have big goals, it takes sacrifice. And if we look at people who are successful and think that they were just given it, so easily, and look at them, I wish my life was like them, but you never think, what did they have to sacrifice? Again, athletes, when everyone was, celebrating their summers, these athletes in high school, say, were probably running stairs in the stadiums and, training in the gyms, and they weren't out there, chasing girls, say, or doing whatever teenage boy athletes, say, in football or baseball would do. So those sacrifices that you see, or their life that they're living now, you don't actually think of the sacrifices that they made, but they made it because that was an important goal. So you can also use AI to help you figure out, are you willing to sacrifice for this goal? Does it align with your life now and your life and your vision of the future? And there's tons of AI tools. You can use prompts for it in ChatGPT or whatever you use for AI. There's lots of them out there now. And then there's also tons of kind of timekeeping tools, ones to measure how you're spending your time. There's tons of them out there, and I'm not necessarily a promoter of any specific one. I just know that being able to use those tools is really important to be able to understand what goal you want or need to chase. What are the metrics that you actually need to get that goal? What time commitment and how you're actually going to fit it into your schedule to achieve it, and what you're going to sacrifice and if you're willing to sacrifice it.
Well said. I think you summed it up and I really love it. Thank you so much for that. But there's a follow-up question I wanted to, because based on what you've said, definitely, I don't want to say you are big on using technology or AI, but I know you use it efficiently. Again, like you say, not to replace human, but to make you do your job better, faster, quicker, to enhance whatever we do. I want to know, maybe you want to share with us how you actually using this AI system, and if you actually believe that using AI or technology could help, in either increasing your revenue, save time, maybe give us some example of the way you're using it currently. So also, it will also be in a way of giving advice to business owners out there based on your experience.
Yeah, so going back to what I said, understanding where you're spending your time and where you should spend your time, definitely AI, huge believer in that. Understanding what to delegate. So once you understand how you're spending your time, you can figure out all the tasks that you're doing that can be delegated. Maybe it has to be delegated to a human, but it can also be delegated to a program, a system, some sort of AI tool. And you can use AI to tell you what it can and can't do for you. I think that's really good. I just am very cautious about people trying to use AI and tools and bots for everything. I am a big believer in keeping everything as simple as possible. I love using tools and systems to get my creativity going, to be able to help me start a project when I feel stuck and I don't know how to start or even how to distill information down. Love using that, but I don't want to lean on it too much because then, we're losing our own kind of brain capacity, if you will. And we are also, I find, overcomplicating things, trying to simplify things, if that makes any sense. I feel like a lot of people will, try to build their best calendar system and spend hours and days trying to figure it out and just so it's right for them when, nothing's ever going to really be perfect. So maybe you should just, keep it as is and then kind of move on to kind of the next thing. And that all goes back to what should you actually be focusing on? I have to say, I do love AI too for helping stack wins. I have a little hack that I use when I'm having bad days because I still try to stack wins. I'm not as good at writing them down now as I should be. But when you're having a bad day, or things or a bad week or bad month and things just don't feel like they're on your side and you're just like, oh, I just wish I had a win. If you actually write everything you do in a day into, say, ChatGPT or whatever you use and just keep a log, like a diary, and then at the end of the day, say, can you please sum up my wins? ChatGPT will give you 100 wins. It will seem like you are the most amazing human being on the face of the earth, even though you've been sued and missed a bill and God knows what else happened to you. So it's really amazing that it can actually change your mindset for the end of the day. And you're like, wow, I'm actually okay. I can, carry on building this business for another day. So that's something that I actually really like using AI for.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. The magic one. So if you have the magic one today, it could be anything, but something that could make a lot of difference in your business that you want to change and you have a magic one, what would that be? And what would be the effect of those changes?
So it's actually interesting because I feel like from my failure, I've been able to change my business as I rebuild it. So I'm very thoughtful of how I'm rebuilding and why and the steps that I'm going through. So I'm really confident that right now the business is exactly where I want it to be. And I wouldn't necessarily want to change anything. However, my big goal for Take It Easy is to be the go-to place for influencers who are looking and creative entrepreneurs who are really looking for that operational and administration help. And I just want our name to be known in the industry for the place for everybody to go, and for us to be able to offer that top-notch service to be able to really scale these amazingly cool companies.
It's very unique, but it's possible. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Okay, let's move into the main topic. You've trained your team in the same system used by icons like Richard Branson, Lady Gaga, and so on and so forth. Okay, now what's the biggest differences you've seen between how celebrities operate versus how most these business founders operate? Because again, celebrities will be celebrity. They are not like normal business people. But give us some context in terms of the difference between, the celebrities and the normal business people. How do they operate? What can, people, that are not from the rock star world, what can they learn from the rock star?
So there's a couple of things that I've been able to witness that rock stars, celebrities, really successful people do to maintain their success and build their success. One thing for new founders that I really know they struggle with is letting things go. A lot of new founders think that they can do things themselves better, faster. It's my idea. How can anybody else take any part of it and, help me? And then also a lot of new founders are caught up in the price. I'll delegate when I can afford it, or, I'll delegate when my business gets to this amount in revenue, or I have this many clients, or sell this many products, or whatever it is. And celebrities don't think twice about delegating anything and everything. And I really believe that it's not necessarily a money thing. Yes, celebrities and successful people have money, but there are ways to delegate things, trade services, trade time when you're first starting out that don't necessarily involve cash being exchanged. And I really, truly believe that also successful people understand that help is not actually a luxury. It's something that they need, just like a cell phone, a smartphone, and a computer and a Netflix account to be able to, you need that to survive. And if you're building a business, you need help to be able to actually build a successful business. If that's your dream. If you want to build, a side hustle that's just you consulting a little bit, or have an Etsy account on the side, great, do that. But if you want to build a big business, you have to invest in the big business. And you have to do that by getting help and by delegating. And I'm not here to tell you that our help is better than anyone else's help, or that you just need an assistant. There's lots of things that you can delegate: bookkeeping, accounting, legal advice. If you're a parent, maybe babysitting so you can concentrate on actually what you're doing in your business. There are tons of ways to be able to focus on your big goal. That's one thing that celebrities and successful people don't think twice. They delegate everything. But people who are just starting out or struggling for success, they like to hold on to everything. Another thing is that people who are just starting out will get distracted with the next shiny thing. Or they'll listen to a podcast like this, or go to a motivational speech or conference, and they'll come up with an amazing idea, and then they'll pivot really quickly onto this other idea or this other, amazing thing that they've come up with. I call them 2 a.m. thoughts. I have them all the time. I'll wake up in bed and go, I want my business to go this way. And successful people and people who have built sustainable businesses, they know that they have to run the course on what they're doing for a specific period of time. It depends on what type of business you're in, if product or service or whatever. So I don't want to say 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years. but they have to run the course on it before they go, okay, maybe I need to pivot on this strategy, or maybe I need to pivot here or here. That doesn't mean that you can't come up with creative ideas or things that you want to do in the future or different arms of your business. As I said, I come up with them all the time. I write them down. I have a big list. I can go to them when I need inspiration for something. So that's great. So the extreme focus is something that celebrities and really successful people do really, really well. And then the other thing is that really successful people are amazingly good, as I said, at creating their own motivation, but also picking themselves up really quickly. And I believe your level of success is based on how you can bounce back from different situations. And yes, we all go through incredibly horrible times. It sucks being an adult sometimes. I get it. I really get it. But if you have a big business and if you have a big idea and a big dream, it's how quickly can you go, okay, I failed at that. I need to learn my lesson and move on.
Very fascinating. Thank you so much. I think the big lesson there is don't try to do everything yourself. It's not possible. And I think the reason why people are talking about automation today is also because you want to buy back your time. You don't want to spend time on things that are, manual task, repetitive task. You want to focus on the main thing. Just like you said earlier, the athletes, those successful people, they focus on one thing. Every other thing can be outsourced because, again, that's not their main goal. Thank you so much for echoing that. I think it's a very, very valuable point. Okay, I watched your media segment, about working from home. That's really got me cracking. And you mentioned something that's very fascinating, that people are 70, people that are, okay, let me put it this way, that people are 75% more productive when they wear shoes while working, even they're working from home. When I saw that the clip, I was really like, never heard such thing. But it's such a simple insight. And I know you were talking from experience, but it speaks to something deeper about creating the right environment for high performance. What other counterintuitive productivity principle have you learned from working with world-class performers that most business owners completely miss?
Yeah, I think I love the shoes one because it is, as you said, setting yourself up in an environment that is conducive to be able to work. So, working from bed seems great and exciting, but sometimes your mind just can't get into the flow. I'm going to bring it back to something that I said earlier, and I think a lot of high performers understand not to overcomplicate things, and new business owners overcomplicate everything, trying to kind of hack their way into success or out of a problem. And, there's nothing out there, as great as AI is and as sophisticated as it is now, there's nothing out there that's going to actually make you do the tasks that you have to do to build your business. I always say that there's no machine out there. Well, maybe there is, but not really, that will lift your bed up in the morning and throw you out of bed because you have to be out at 5 a.m. That's you. And, that's just what you have to do. But then there people spend a ton of time trying to figure out the best morning routine. I've read online that so-and-so, wakes up at 3 o'clock in the morning and goes and plays a round of golf and then reads for 2 hours and then has a very specific smoothie. And if I copy his exact morning routine, then I'm going to be a success. Well, guess what? That's not actually going to be the case. So trying to copy others is something that high performers don't do, that they really understand that they're their own person and they're focused on their end goal and that's all that they care about. Figuring out not to overcomplicate things, sit down, get to work and do what you have to do to succeed. You figured out your goal. You figured out what you need to do to get there, what numbers you have to hit. Don't try to overcomplicate it.
Where do you see your company in terms of growth? So I'm not talking about how much revenue you want to take because I know that may be confidential. But in terms of the numbers of people that you want to really help, what's your dream in the next 12 months?
Yeah. As I said before, not necessarily a number, but I want to be the go-to place for influencers and creative entrepreneurs who are building amazingly cool businesses who need that extra operational and administration support behind them. I call these types of founders accidental CEOs because they've by accidentally built a business, usually because they have something creative that has really taken off. And that was me. And I just want to be able to help those people not have to go through the heartaches and failures that I had to go through and really teach them how to build successful businesses. So when people think of Take It Easy Group, I really want to think of us as, again, the go-to place for influencers and creative entrepreneurs who are building big businesses.
You have a very unique name. It's easy for anyone to remember the name. Take it easy. So I think you're building a very, big brand and good brand. All right. If you are in front of business owners, probably some celebrity today, and you want to advise them, what piece of advice will you be giving them?
That's a big question.
I know.
One piece of advice that I would give to a celebrity,
Yeah.
I guess build your, if you're thinking about building a business, no matter who you are, think about your systems before you build anything. We probably hear all the time building the plane as we fly it. That's true. That happens. It doesn't work. I am definitely a person that has lived through it, trying to put the roof on the house before the foundation or was even thought of. So systems are really, really important. Another thing is if you are a business owner or someone who has had success and someone who has had success through failures, I think it is really, really important to share your story, but I call it fluff, don't fluff over the tactical ways that you were able to get out and kind of solve your problems. I find that people are very quick these days to share their failures, which is great. It's not all, happy things. However, they don't necessarily share the steps that they've taken to get out of those failures. And I think that's the most important thing that's missing.
I believe the insights you're sharing now definitely might help one or two people out there. But thank you so much for sharing. You wear multiple hats and, you do a lot of things. Your position as the CEO and founder, it's really not a joke. Keynote speaker, media personality, and very interesting paradox now. My question is, are you practicing what you're preaching? Do you have people doing a lot of things for you that you don't have to worry about and you focusing on the things that is actually strategic for yourself and for your client?
I do. And I do because I've learned my lesson the very, very hard way.
Thank you so much. If anyone wants to connect with you, listening, watching the podcast anytime, and they felt like, well, you probably like a role model to them, especially the aspect of the fact that you failed before and you didn't allow the failure to deter you, to weigh you down. You pick up yourself and today you're telling your success story. They want to connect with you. They want you to probably be their role model. They want to get some insight from you more than what they're getting from the podcast. Where can they find you?
Yeah, so you can go to takeiteasygroup.com. And also, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. Hopefully you can put them in the show notes. I'm Tarra with 2 R's, Tarra Stubbins on LinkedIn.
All right. Thank you so much. I know time will not permit us to go into some more questions, but we really thank you for coming through. Your insight is so valuable, and I believe our audience will definitely learn 1 or 2 things from your insights. So thank you so much for coming. If there's any last thing you want to say, I think the floor is yours.
Well, I just want to thank you for having me, and I hope that something that I've said today was able to help someone get out of a hard time or spark that creativity to start building their own motivation. And if anyone has a really cool creative idea and they just don't know how to push it forward, you know how to find me.
Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you for having me.
You didn't quit your day job to become a full-time admin assistant. The Intelligence Forge podcast is sponsored by Permasize AI Forge. At Permasize AI Forge, we know you didn't start your business to spend 60 hours a week on paperwork, chasing leads, and managing endless admin tasks. You started it to build something meaningful and serve your clients. But right now, you're trapped in the day-to-day grind instead of growing your business. What if I told you our clients are reclaiming 15, 20 hours per week, increasing their revenue by 30 to 50% within 6, 12 months, and finally getting their lives back? We don't just automate random tasks. We build custom AI systems that eliminate the bottlenecks choking your growth, from leads generation to lead, nurturing and management to project management to client follow-ups. Stop paying for an expensive, frustrating manual system. It's time to upgrade to strategic automation. Visit PermasizeAIForge.com and book your free business transformation strategy call today. Discover exactly how much time and money you're losing to manual processes and how to get both back. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the Intelligence Forge, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode packed with game-changing insights. Your future automated business is waiting.